since there is so little representation on trans...
Hi friends, and welcome to Wives vs. World, where we have fun talking about queer stuff and life as a cis trans lesbian couple. I'm Jackie.
I'm Anya.
And today we want to talk about something that many of you might have questions about or have tumbled with before, which is what's it like dating a trans person? How do you date a trans person? What are the complicated metaphysical questions you have to ask yourself when dating a trans person? Maybe it's not that serious.
So the title of this video is a little bit silly on purpose, because the short answer to this question is, of course, that there is no answer. You can't just say what it's like to date a trans person, because every trans person's experience is unique and can be very different. So there's no real way to answer this question. So it's kind of the same thing as saying, what's it like dating a person?
It's exactly the same, actually.
That said, I do think that there are a lot of people out there who have this question and genuinely wonder what it is like to date a trans person. Maybe they have a crush on a trans person, or maybe they are just curious to what that would entail. Since there's so little representation, how would you know?
True, and I think maybe it's also a question that's very difficult to ask. With all the stigma that there might be, that is something that can out the person you like. It can, where do you even begin?
It can also kind of be a rude question, I guess.
Yeah.
But it might also come from a very genuine place.
Let's get into it then.
Yeah, let's.
Honey, I think you should take the lead on this one, since technically you're the one dating a trans person.
So this is a list of things. The first point on my list is that a lot of trans people might deal with dysphoria. Dysphoria
is any kind of discomfort that one person might feel with their assigned gender at birth. So there might be some incongruence that is causing some level of hurt or pain or discomfort, and that is what we generally call dysphoria in this case. It's not something everyone has. It's not something all trans people have. It's not a requirement to being trans. It's just something to be aware of that a potential trans partner might experience.
And it can be very difficult to understand for the partner to see your partner being extremely uncomfortable with who they are or what they look like or something like that. It's not necessarily logical. It isn't necessarily founded in anything that makes sense. And therefore it might be very difficult to grasp what this hurt is coming from, and also how it's expressed. And I think it's very important as a partner to be kind of ready to understand and be patient if your trans partner experiences dysphoria. It might also be expressed in situations that aren't necessarily super convenient.
From our own experience, sometimes in the beginning of our relationship, I would experience huge bouts of dysphoria when we were going out. Going out to see people, meet people. It would be like me picking out an outfit and then suddenly being like, oh God, perceiving myself I'm just gonna not fit in. I'm just gonna look like a huge man or something.
So often there were these huge breakdowns just before we had to get out the door. And especially if communication is hard, maybe you didn't even realize exactly what the problem was and had a hard time saying, this is because I am experiencing dysphoria. It might not be like that for everyone. It might come out in very different ways, but I think it's really good to understand that this can be the case and help your partner through that.
One thing to take away from it is also that there's not necessarily something that you can, as a partner, do to help your trans partner in that case, because usually it's something that is, might not be logical, as you said. So you might feel helpless, and to an extent you are of no great help, beside from the fact that you can listen, you can assure, you can try to be a calming voice, but solving it is something that takes, work on the trans partner's side. It's not something you as a partner to a trans person can solve for them. There's also the very unfortunate situation that in many countries the hoops and the loops and the like hurdles that a trans person have to pass through or jump over in order to get the treatment that they either need or want or require are very, very, very horrendous. Like years of wait lists, unreasonable requirements to present certain ways or perform in certain ways that will be acceptable to some criteria set down. Sometimes periods before you even can start transitioning for real, where you have to do real life experiencing, and a lot of gatekeeping on terms that can seem antiquated to some. And these can be very taxing on a person to go through. Having to prove that you are you, that you are real, that your experience is real, is something that is actually quite dehumanizing. That you have to go in and prove to a panel of people that you are who you say you are is so hard on a person's psyche. And if you are with someone who has to go through that, that will be hard on them. And it might be hard on you as well, because it just seems so unfair.
And it might take a long time. And yeah, it might require a lot of emotional support. Maybe if there's consultations or something, it can be nice to have the partner with you.
One of the things that I think can be said for many trans people is that you feel like the clock is ticking. I see so many saying that, oh, it's too late for me, or I'm this and this age, can I still do it? And I want to say everyone can do it. You can do it at whatever age. There's no age where it's too late. But time is still a factor for a lot of us because we feel our time is running out. Being denied your ability to express yourself or be yourself the way that you are is so hurtful. It is something that will take up some space.
The next point, which is also kind of a related note, is that in many, many places around the world, people are still not kind to trans people. So I think it's really, really good to be ready to stand up for your trans partner and to support them verbally or whatever.
Physically.
I think as a partner, you should be ready to stand up for your significant other, especially when it comes to like friends or family or something like that. I think it's really important to...
Exactly.
Because it can be really, really lonely and hard experience to be a trans person. And I think having a supportive partner can make that experience just a little bit less lonely.
Just having someone in your corner who will take the battles that you, at the end of the day, might be too tired to take is something that is so meaningful and so helpful.
Exactly. And for the trans person to have to say, taking those battles and constantly being like, you have to refer to me this way or whatever, can be super exhausting. And if your partner is then not supportive or are ignoring the microaggressions,
oh, that's your thing.
Yeah, I think that'll be a problem.
It's also very, very important to be ready to help them express themselves or experiment with new ways of defining or dressing or interacting. In a lot of cases, trans people have been hiding parts of themselves growing up. That is unfortunately still true. So once a person is able to come out and express themselves, there will be a lot of things, shall we say, like a bucket list, or oh, I missed out on that when I was years old or whatever. And then that takes the form of them trying to find out, how should I dress? Who am I, more or less, And that can be both a lot of fun, and it can also be kind of awkward. I remember just when I had come out, I maybe was not the best dresser when it came to the feminine, but we learn, as we all do, either by magazines when we're 12, 13 years old, or from sisters, or from observing friends and partners. And that's just the way it is. But your trans partner might not have had that experience. So, be ready to help, any way you can. I saw on this Reddit, I think it was my partner is trans. A lot of people posted questions like, my girlfriend or wife who's recently out as trans is dressing very, very femininely, much more than I am. Is that like a phase? Is that how it's gonna be? I'm worried it's too much or whatever. From my own experience, usually it calms down. You find different ways of engaging. A lot of the commenters were also usually it's a phase because you are, for the first time, getting to experience and express something that has been suppressed for years, if not decades. And some experimentation is just necessary. Imagine if, for instance, you've always been forbidden from touching girly stuff or stuff that is pink, and suddenly it's on the table. There might be some level of, you know, testing, experimenting, and then in the end you either find out that's my thing, or as I see a lot of trans women do, like they find out they're, you know, more tomboyish than hyperfemme, you know?
So I'm including this next point because I do think it's valuable to talk about, and that is if you are a couple who are sexually intimate, it can be good to know that a lot of trans people might have genitalia that may look different from what we usually expect cis people to have, whether they are pre-op or post-op. And I'm including this point because I think it's the first thing that a lot of people think about when they when they wonder what it's like to be with a trans person.
Even when they don't wonder, that's still the first thing many people think of. Oh, trans, huh? Does that mean you have it like a...
And to talk honestly and openly, I think it's important to be ready for that as well. Because it might require a little bit more experimentation in the bedroom to find out what feels good for both parties. And a lot of trans people may have sex that's a bit different from what is usually expected of cis people sex.
Yeah, I think it's like important to be aware that there might be some differences, that there might be some things that you are not used to, but that if you keep an open mind and if you can see yourself being with this person, then there's like a lot of potential for some interesting
good fun
times in the bedroom. The official policy in this company here is we don't really talk about the bedroom stuff because that's not really our channel. Suffice it to say, you can have a great time with a trans person.
It can also be really good to do a bit of research on what possibilities are out there if you don't really know. We're not going to get into the specifics, but I think it's a good idea to look for inspiration on how to proceed if you don't know.
We encourage you to do a lot of your own research and not just take, you know, our word as the end-all be-all. Please be critical of your entertainment, I guess.
Just remember, the most important thing of all is to talk about it, to talk openly about what you both like and what you don't like, and try to see if you can't come up with something, because there's always a way.
Exactly. It's the 3 C's. It's communication, it's consent, it's, I don't know, what's the last thing? Couch?
Is there 3 C's?
I don't know. I came up with, like, I had 2 when I decided to go. I was like, it's also really, really important that when you are there for your trans partner, that you also have someone to lean on, that you also have your own support network, because your trans partner might be facing a lot of unfairness or discrimination or hurdles, and as their partner you get to shoulder a lot of that. But it's important you don't go with that yourself, that you let it weigh you down. You have to be able to get it off your chest as well and to reflect. So remember yourself in a relationship with a trans partner. Remember that you also have needs, that you also have feelings that you have to tend to. You have to, take care of your mental health in order to help someone else feel their absolute best. Do you talk with anyone?
Me, no. But we do talk to each other a lot, and maybe an unhealthy way. But I do think it's valuable to be able to also discuss our problems with each other.
You and I, we have a very on-off therapist relationship with each other. We take turns therapizing each other. Like when someone's having a hard time, you of course go, let's work on that. When someone's having a good time, we say, great, let's celebrate that. Let's remember what's important. You might not have that. Still, it's important that you can take your relationship hardships and share it with someone else. Like, take care of yourself.
So we hope you liked this video, and if you did, you can subscribe for more.
True. You can hit the bell icon if you want to be sure to receive notifications whenever we post. That would usually be Sundays, but in case we don't, or if you just miss us for some reason, you can find us on Instagram. And we hope to see you next time.
Bye!
Bye!
Jeg har et indtryk til det her.
Okay, but like you can toggle whatever you want to do. Like, it's not like I care.
Okay. Great. Shut the fuck up.